5-Minute Marvel. This is a very simple game published by Spin Master. Players in the game will control different Marvel heroes. The game is cooperative. In each game you will try to defeat a main villain, a big bad. You will have to go through a big army of minions and goons before you get a chance to defeat the villain. Also very important, you only have exactly 5 minutes of real time. You start the timer and then you have 5 minutes to complete your mission. Let's have a look inside the box. You have the rule book, or I should say a rule sheet. As you can see, the rules are very short. You have 3 tiles representing 6 villains because they are double-sided. And suppose that we are facing the Green Goblin this time. You see here a number of cards. For this one is 15. That is a number of door cards. Door cards represent challenges that the villain pretty much is hiding behind. And so different challenges such as, again, such as goons, villains, minions, etc., etc. And each challenge has a set of symbols that the players need to match in order to defeat that card. So you will get that base number of cards out of the door deck, and then you will add extra door cards and some crisis cards, and the more of these extra cards you add, the more difficult the game. So there's a way for you to kind of tweak the difficulty of the game. And suppose that our deck will kind of look like this once we're done. Crisis, just negative events. When you flip one face up, then you simply do what it says. So you place this deck of crisis and door cards on the mat of the villain, right on top of that system of symbols that you have there. You put that in the middle of the table, and then each player takes a hero. Each hero consists of a tile which is double-sided. Which is double-sided. One when the hero is healthy and one when the hero is injured. On the healthy side, each hero has a special ability that can be used infinite times or whenever the conditions described there apply. You take your tile and you take a personal deck of cards that have some extra symbols and also have some unique abilities tailored to the ability of the character. Squirrel Girl, for example, she has special powers that allow her to do something. When she spots a squirrel, which is a very weird condition, there are some cards and they have little squirrels hidden in the background, or not in the background, sometimes in the foreground, but you need to be able to see them. So she's a quirky character and she has the quirkiest power in the game. Black Widow, well, she's just your friendly assassin, butt-kicking next door. And so she has all sorts of powers and cards. We have Medusa here. We have Miss Marvel, the new Miss Marvel, Iron Man, Spider-Gwen, Raccoon, Rocket and Groot, Spider-Gwen and Spider-Man, etc., etc. Oops, there you go. I have to say, as you may have noticed, I think they really did a good job here in balancing female characters and male characters. There's just so many awesome Marvel women that could be using games, and this game really takes advantage of the great mythology. Now, back to us. We also have a main deck of cards that simply show 1 or 2 symbols each. You shuffle this deck of cards and then you simply split it equally among players. Suppose you're playing with 2 players, it's more or less like this. Then depending on the number of players, also each player will receive a hand of cards. The size will depend on the number of players. And also each player has a minimum size. Suppose that we are playing with a number of players, that tells us that the minimum size of cards that you have in your hand is 5. That means you will be able to draw new cards only when you fall under 5. And when you fall under 5, you can draw back to your minimum. You can draw from the main deck or from your personal personal deck freely. Personal deck is very powerful, but sometimes, again, it has restricted conditions that are powerful if you can apply them, but maybe you can't. And in any case, you don't have many, so you want to be judicious. Everybody has their hands, their hero, which is not injured, or personal deck, general deck, still personal, it's their own, but made of general cards, and we're good to go. We start the 5 minutes timer, then we flip the first card face up, and then simply players need to defeat it, which they can do so by producing cards from their hand until they're able to match all of the symbols, and or by using abilities. For example, look at this, I could discard 3 cards to defeat a villain. This card has the villain thing, so I discard 3 cards and I defeat that villain. And then we flip the next one, who is a minion, and we need those 2 symbols. Oh, she's under 5, so we're gonna draw cards. She's also under 5. I don't know where the cards are, but they must be somewhere. Oh, and she's gonna play this one. Oh, look at this one. This one is good enough. When you have a card with 2 symbols, you can use either or both. Perfect to defeat that minion that has those symbols. And so on and so forth. And that's how you continue like this, revealing cards, resolving game effects. Sometimes a game effect will cause you to get injured and you cannot use your special abilities. Sometimes a game effect will go the other way. You're trying to go through the entire deck to reveal the final configuration of symbols on the villain's mat. And if you're able to defeat that one, as usual, again by cards and or game effects, before 5 minutes have passed, you win the game. Otherwise, well, you lose the game. You also lose the game not just if you run out of time, but if all players run out of cards, or if your team is unable to beat a card or the final boss simply because you don't have the right cards left. You still have some cards, you didn't run out entirely, but what you have is useless to proceed in the game. That also causes you to lose the game. 5 Minute Marble is a simple, frantic, definitely enjoyable game with a couple of disclaimers and extra things that I want to add. I like the fact that it is a gutsy cooperative game. That is a cooperative game, so you have the fun of cooperative games, but you have to play it again, I would say suboptimally. Just you do not have the time to calculate the best move. People will go and do what feels right with some redundancies, with some wasteful actions here and there, and that is perfectly fun. Interesting enough, we played it after we played an incredibly confrontational game about scheming and backstabbing during the lesser houses. 5 Minute Marvel was like a healing process. Our group that was on the brink of self-destruction after all that intense attacking each other and betraying each other. Now we're working together and just tossing cards in the middle of the table. So I don't know how to say, primeval, I don't know, just so simple, so intuitive. So we really liked that. For what it is, of course, again, the plus side, it is so visceral. That's the word I was looking for. It's so visceral and so simple. You can play it with kids, and it is so quick. And another big advantage, of course, is that the alpha player won't have much to do, because the alpha player doesn't have time to calculate everything and boss everybody around. By the time the alpha player has done that, people have already moved to by 3 or 4 villains, and so that is goodbye alpha player. Try to do your thing, won't be able. So I like that very much. It is a fun, simple, chaotic, messy, cooperative game. All of those things are good, and again, it's good that there is no alpha player allowed or possible, and it is a game that you can play with pretty much anybody, from your young children to grandma. Really, I think grandma would get it. Some of the things that maybe are not perfect don't make this game maybe the perfect cooperative game that it could be. The characters are not really balanced. There are some characters that are obviously more powerful than others. I don't know, I haven't done a complete algorithm, but it seems to me that some of the basic character abilities are very strong, and I respect, well, maybe then their individual deck is weaker, so there is the balance, a strong deck, weak ability, weak deck. But that doesn't seem to be the case. There seem to be some characters that are objectively stronger. Once you play the game, you'll figure them out. So there's some very powerful synergies also that make the game super easy if if you figure them out. Point is, well, if you see that, at least then you're empowered and you can choose to play the way if you're playing with young kids and you just want them to feel great about beating a game, or of course you can avoid them, but then you don't have the same range of characters available. You avoid certain characters, you avoid certain synergies to increase the level of difficulty. Still, it is a fun, simple, messy game. I like the art very much, and by the way, you know that these characters could be drawn in a lot of different ways, could be dark and gloomy, etc, etc, so clearly here they're going for the family-friendly look. They're also, I'm glad that probably because of the success of Into the Spider-Verse, Spider-Gwen is finally getting the attention that she deserves, and in general, I believe that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the movie, is really helping to bring the whole Marvel Universe to the attention of a larger group. You know, now it's not just dad and the children that are going to see it. Mom is also going to see the movie and she's enjoying it. And then now we also have a game that pretty much has the same philosophy. It is a game that is fun looking, it has humor in it. It is simple and accessible, it can be played by non-gamers, and so again we have this broader, I would say more including experience that many players can enjoy. 5-Minute Marvel, not the deepest, more complex game out there, not the cleanest design, but definitely a fun design that anybody can play.